It's 4 a.m. in Chicago, Illinois. A massive mobilization is underway. The assembly of an army with unmarked vans, tactical armored trucks, and surveillance units from the FBI, ICE, and the DEA are moving in perfect coordination. And Chicago isn't alone. At this exact moment, across 21 other major cities, from the ports of Long Beach to the suburbs of New York, thousands of federal agents are initiating the largest offensive against organized crime in modern American history. The operation has a code name: The Surge. The target happened to be nothing but a street gang operating out of abandoned houses, but a multinational superpower, the Sinaloa and CJNG cartels. For years, they've operated with near impunity, turning American cities into logistics hubs for poison. But this morning, the rules of engagement have changed. The order from the highest levels of government came stating, stop the product, destroy the networks, and bring those responsible to justice. For decades, Chicago has been the beating heart of the cartel's distribution network. It's the central artery where product arrives from the border, gets broken down into smaller loads, and then flows into the veins of the entire East Coast. The cartels treat this city like their own corporate headquarters. They have supply chains, accountants, logistics managers, and armed enforcers who act as a private security force. But the most dangerous part of their operation is their invisibility. They hide in plain sight, renting warehouses to buy protection. Intelligence reports leading up to the surge reveal a terrifying reality that the enemy is inside the southern border. The cartels have evolved. They're infiltrating the very institutions sworn to stop them. As the convoys reach their targets, which are massive distribution centers disguised as legitimate trucking companies, the agents know they're walking into a war zone. But they also know something else. Some of the people they're coming to arrest aren't actually wearing badges. The betrayal runs deep. County officers, border inspectors, and federal agents have sold their loyalty for cartel cash. They've turned the shield of law enforcement into a sword for the enemy. As the first breach charges detonate against the steel doors of a warehouse in Chicago's industrial district, the war fundamentally changes. This has now become a purge. The silence of the morning is shattered by the sound of entry teams and shouting voices. Federal agents, get down! The raid has begun, and for the first time in years, the Sinaloa cartel is about to feel fear. The scale of what agents find inside those Chicago warehouses goes beyond anything seen in previous operations. This is an industrial assembly line of death. When agents breach the primary logistics hub near the rail yards, they find proof of how the cartels have transformed their operations. Behind false steel walls and inside shipping containers labeled as industrial cleaning supplies, they uncover the stockpile. The seizure logs paint a terrifying picture. In this operation alone, federal teams seized a staggering 8,818 pounds of fentanyl. To put that into perspective, just 2 milligrams can stop a human heart. What sits in that warehouse is enough potential lethal doses to end the lives of the entire population of the United States multiple times over. But this is not just about the product, it's the money involved. Agents discover pallets of vacuum-sealed cash, cryptocurrency hardware wallets, and gold bars stacked like inventory in a retail warehouse. The total value of assets seized in this coordinated strike exceeds $200 million. The war chest of the Sinaloa and CJNG cartels used to bribe officials, buy military-grade weapons, and secure the supply chain. And then come the arrests. The coordination of the surge results in 5,000 suspects being taken into custody within months. These are made up of the logistics managers, the chemists, the accountants, the enforcers, and the entire middle management of the cartel's American infrastructure, decimated in a matter of weeks. This discovery reveals that the cartels are no longer acting like street gangs, but functioning like multinational corporations with a clear-cut chain of command. They have supply chains stretching from chemical factories in China and India, where precursors are manufactured, to super labs in Mexico, and finally to these distribution hubs in American cities. The investigation uncovers that the crisis is a designed attack. a chemical weapon disguised as a product pumped into the heart of America to destabilize communities and destroy families. The financial network exposed by the raid is equally sophisticated. Money collected in Chicago is laundered through shell companies, real estate deals in Miami, offshore cryptocurrency exchanges. The cartels are using the American banking system against America itself, turning profits into legitimate businesses like trucking fleets, nightclubs, and car washes. The raid also uncovers a disturbing link to broader national security issues. Among the seized documents are internal communications showing how the cartels are using migrant flows to mask their shipments. They're overwhelming border resources with human waves, creating diversions to slip massive industrial loads through the cracks. But perhaps the most chilling discovery is the weapons supply chain. In Houston, a convoy intercepted as part of the surge is found carrying hundreds of military-grade firearms, AR platforms, .50 caliber rifles, conversion kits, all hidden beneath crates of produce. These weapons are heading south to arm the cartel's private armies, forces that will use them to protect the very poison being sent north. The surge proves this is a national security threat. The cartels have built a state within a state operating with near-total impunity. But as the 5,000 suspects are processed through federal custody, the agents know the hardest battle is yet to come, because the enemy has one final line of defense: corruption inside the U.S. government itself. As the dust settles on the operation, headlines across the country focus on the staggering amount of product destroyed. But for the agents on the ground, the most chilling moment of the surge isn't finding 8,818 pounds of fentanyl, it's seeing who's standing on the other side of the handcuffs. In the processing centers, amidst thousands of cartel soldiers and logistics managers, there are faces that don't belong. There are men and women wearing uniforms. The investigation reveals the network has penetrated deep into the American justice system. County officers, border inspectors, and even federal agents are taken into custody. These are people sworn to protect the country, who took an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. But blinded by greed and compromised by the cartel's endless supply of cash from that $200 million war chest, they became the enemy. They sold their badges. They sold their honor. And in doing so, they sold out their own communities. In El Paso, a Customs and Border Protection officer is charged with waving through trucks carrying product, using his federal authority as a shield for the cartel. In Arizona, officials are found burying trafficking cases to protect connected individuals linked to shell companies. The arrogance of these officials is shattered the moment federal investigators arrive. The badge that once protected them becomes the evidence of their betrayal. As they're led away in handcuffs, stripped of their authority, the message is sent loud and clear: the war has changed. The threat is no longer just outside the walls, but now inside it. But this dark revelation also carries something important. The system fought back. The surge was a victory of integrity. For every compromised officer who took a bribe, there were 10 honest agents who refused to look away. This operation happened because brave men and women in the DEA, FBI, and military intelligence community worked in silence for months, gathering evidence needed to cut the rot out of the system. They proved the institutions of this country are still strong enough to police their own. The declaration of these cartels as foreign terrorist organizations has unleashed the full power of the American state. The Pentagon, Northern Command, and Homeland Security are now operating with a unified purpose. The era of treating these groups as mere criminals is over. They're being hunted as insurgents. The surge was a historic strike, but it's just the beginning. The 5,000 arrests and seizure of $200 million in assets have crippled the cartel's immediate operations, but the fight continues. The line has been drawn. The lesson from Chicago is clear. Evil doesn't need permission to grow. It only requires good people to do nothing. And in this moment, good people stood up and fought. Now the question turns to justice. These officials betrayed their oath and facilitated the poisoning of thousands of Americans. The legal proceedings are underway, and the penalties being sought are severe. Decades in federal prison, asset forfeiture, loss of pensions. The reality of the war is this: it's not over, it's evolving. And the only way to win is to stay vigilant, support the men and women on the front lines, and demand accountability at every level. If you found this breakdown fascinating, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next takedown. I'll see you in the next one.